Well, now that leaves us with one more type of fill left to cover, and that's a pattern fill. And a pattern fill is where you can take any image you like and then repeat it and fill up the graphic area that you've drawn. So let's try that out. Close up this file, and we've got another file here, number 6, Try Pattern Fills. So we'll go ahead and open that up in the browser, and we'll open it up inside of our TextEdit program as well. Now you notice right away that this fill has an additional graphic down here. There's a little star that's added before the canvas. And we've got a canvas with a drawing in it, this time a circle. So let's go take a look at the code. We can see our canvas script down here, and we've got a begin path with an arc defined, a fill style of green and a fill command. And of course, since we're doing an arc, we have the computation of the start and end angles being converted to radians. So that's all done for us. What we want to do next is we want to take this star graphic and use it as a fill inside here instead of the green color. If I take a look at the image tag that inserts the star up here at the top, you can see it has an ID of pattern, and that's how we're going to identify it with our JavaScript. Now I don't necessarily want this to show up in my graphic, so I'm going to also add in a style here, and we'll set this to display none, and that way we won't see it, but we can still use it in our JavaScript. Now to use the star as a pattern, we need to go and add in a couple of lines of code. The first one, we're going to identify the image that we want to use as our pattern. So let me go in here, right down below our context, and I'll create another variable. We'll use the var keyword, and I'll just call this variable img, short for image. We'll use our document getElementById, and we'll grab that ID of pattern, so we get the star. Next, we want to define the pattern that we want to use. So I'll create another variable for that. Use our var keyword. I'll call this one pat, short for pattern. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use our context, and we're going to call the create pattern function. I'll specify what I want to use as the pattern, and I'll just use my image variable to do that. And then we can specify what we want it to do with the pattern. And generally what I want to do is repeat. You can repeat X, repeat Y, or not repeat at all, just like you can for CSS. By using simply repeat, the pattern will be repeated to the entire fill. Now all we need to do to use the pattern is go down here to the fill style and replace the color with the pattern that we just made. Now again, the pattern is a variable, so I'll just put in PATT without the quotes. We'll close up our line, and I'll put that back down to the next line like it was before. Now you can see all we're doing different here is identifying an image, taking that image and creating a pattern, and then assigning the pattern to the fill style. Let's save our changes, and we'll go try it out. I'll refresh the page. The first thing you see is the star disappears because we had display none on it. And the second thing is we can see the circle, but now it's filled with a repeating star pattern. And you can do this with any graphic you like. Now while we're here, we can try something else with our file, more of a special effect, and that is a drop shadow. We saw how we could do this using CSS3, and we can also do it using our graphic drawing toolkit. So let's go back and add a shadow. I'll go back into my document, and down here at the bottom, before we define the fill, let's go in and define the shadow. I'll add a line here, and the first thing I'm going to do is give our shadow an offset. We can offset it in X and Y just like we did in CSS3. I'll start off with context. And next, I'll just go and set a parameter for the shadow offset X. Let me set that equal to, let's say, 20 pixels for right now. And then let's add an offset for Y as well. I'll just copy this one. We'll go down a line and paste it on in and just change that to offset Y. Now, just like CSS3, our shadow also gets a blur and a color. So let's set those up too. Context, shadow blur, and we'll make that 20 pixels as well, so it's a nice soft shadow. And finally, let's set up a color. Context, shadow color. I'll use one of my simple named colors, and we'll just make it gray. Let's save our changes, and we'll go see what it looks like. There you can see a nice gray drop shadow with a soft edge on it, dropped right behind our circle graphic. So now we can add drop shadows to both our HTML elements using CSS3 and to our drawing elements using the HTML5 canvas.